from the 15th century from the armors with their seals. And their wax that stamped their mark, which then allowed us to identify the very armors that are bearing the same marks. Oh, this was made by so and so because we have the receipt up there in the archives. I think you might see the archive over time, armors were more decorative, and this is an armor that was not made for one of the council matches. It's made for a military officer fighting on foot in the 1560s. The blackened surface that you see is what happens to the metal when it's worked in the forge. So it's just the process of hammering the metal turns it all black.
It's not age.
No, it's not age. And then selectively, certain areas were embossed, that is, the metal was migrated forward with a hammer and with punches to create this foliage, and then that was polished white. And then you have those masks of lions, which you find on the shoulders, the discs that protect the armpits, on the elbows and on the knees, and even on the codpiece that protects the groin. You never see an armor retaining its original codpiece because in the 18th and 19th century it was seen as a very improper thing to have. And they would be separated from the armors even when they had stayed together for centuries. And this is again one of the few places where you have an armor that is complete to the codpiece. Usually they're missing the gauntlets, but this one has every conceivable part of it.
When was it made?
So this was made in Innsbruck. At the time, Innsbruck ceased to be the capital of the Habsburgs, but Innsbruck was turning into a secondary center with very skilled people who were just looking for work. And they started to make more of the military armor, which had this sort of more functional, utilitarian character, often black and white, as these are over there. But this one, of course, has more is more compelling because it has the highlights in red for the mouths and the ears of the lions. And there is another one, only one other of this type that is in existence, and it's in the Armoury Grass, so we might be able to see it. I should mention, what's the date? About 1565. The mark of the armor is stamped here. There's a P and a K combined, and that's Sebastian or Bastian Katzmeier. The horse armor in here was made for one of the counts of match. The armor that is on top is matching it. You see it has a shell-like embossed design. It's both on the horse and on the armor. This is the only horse armor remaining in private hands.
What we acquired?
I'm sorry? In private hands. This was also made in Innsbruck. And it's absolutely complete. It has every, the armor is garniture, so it comes with a number of pieces that you can use for tournaments, with multiple types of tournaments, and for the field. And we have in Philadelphia one of the helmets that was in the 1954 exhibition that belongs to this armor. And Kinbush, who was on very good terms with the Traps, was able to negotiate towards the end of his life the purchase of one of these very important armors. It has the original lining inside, and so that's in the Philadelphia Museum of Art. We have an element of that armor, one of the spare elements used in the tournament.
Is it the Stibert private?
I'm sorry?
Is it the Stibert collection private?
No, not really. Not really. It used to be, but not really.
And is there anything here that's from the same two that made the piece that we acquired in 2009?
By Wilhelm von Worms of Nuremberg? No, because the proximity to Innsbruck made it so easy to get armor from Italy, from Lombardy, or so that's from Brescia, Milan, or from Innsbruck. There are a few, the armor that is very intimidating, the one with the legs that is all blackened. We're having the light behind it, so it looks black. It's actually purple. And the purple, over time, its oxidation has shifted to a slightly olive color with the sheen, and the purple sheen is still on it. That's an armor made in Augsburg towards 1600s. It's the latest armor in this armory, which was made from one of the last counts of Trapp. There is one armor shown here, which I'm going to show you, which is shown in the portrait that is in the castle. You see the count with a skirt that looks extremely feminine. Men wore lots of skirts in those days, but this is a very unusual type of skirt. It was worn in a tournament, with his motto embroidered with pearls, all over. And it's not a very good painting, but it's rather unique to have the armor and the painting in the same place. So I'm just going to show the armor that's here. This is the armor. So you will see it without the lower piece because it's covered by the skirt. It has the coat of arms of the Count's Trapp. It's dated 1553. It has a stylized representation of the Count Trapp in prayer with his motto. You have the tilting shields, different shields that would be attached to the armor for the tournament, with painted on it the arms of the Traps. And in the 19th century, many of these armors had survived. They were circulating and been looted by the Napoleonic troops. And the collectors, under the influence of Horace Walpole and other romantic writers, wanted knights in shining armor. So they had their restorers remove the painted emblems, thinking that it was ungainly. So we have one in Philadelphia that has retained the painted emblems on the shoulder piece. So this is a good instance where you have it not only on the shoulder piece, but also on the shield, the escutcheon that is on the chevron, which is the piece that protects the horse head. So all these pieces you have here are parts of the same armor. These would be combined for the different purposes, and that display here. And the mace that he's holding is also the one that is in the portrait.
Yeah, what's this piece on top?
I'm sorry?
What is this piece? The horse.
So this is the neck piece for the horse. So when you commission a very high-end armor, it always came with elements for the horse. The standard armor, we're talking here about something that would represent something like 4 to 5 years of a skilled worker's wages, the cost of an armor like this. Okay, we're coming. Including the saddle piece and a piece for the head of the horse. And then I'll show you one more before we leave, which is this armor. Some of you were able to come with me to New York, to the New York Gallery, where we saw the Ronald Lauder collection. And Ronald Lauder was able to acquire an armor by Michael Hitz, the younger, who was the best armorer working in Innsbruck in the 1540s. And this is his masterpiece. This armor is decorated with a lot of details, and among the details, every name has a different motif. And among the things that you find here is a reference to 1529, which is the date of the siege of Vienna. And the Count Rapp participated in the defense of Vienna against the Turks. And this armor was commissioned for the military campaign with an explicit reference to the defense of Vienna. So it's historically grounded in that very specific context, and it just makes the point that every major armor was always commissioned in relation to very specific events, not just military campaigns. Sometimes a wedding, because a wedding was always followed by tournaments. Sometimes a political summit that would also be concluded with tournaments, and so forth. So this is a very impressive example with the reinforcing pieces that we worn for the joust that turned this figure almost into a crustacean. You know, this extraordinary articulation and all this asymmetry.
What's the function of the piece that's attached to the right breastplate?
This piece?
No, the right-hand side.
This is the lance rest. This is what supports the lance, and when you encounter somebody, it will actually be serious recoil, and this will absorb the shock and distribute it over the breastplate so it doesn't dislocate your arm. And it can be folded back so that you can use a sword. So most of the armors do have this lance rest. Okay, we're ready.
Oh, Pierre, turn around and say, all done.
Thank you.